All right, it's Friday. We know that that means basically just one thing and one thing only. We have to start the weekend in one way in particular.
Come on, man. Go for it, dude.
It's Friday. Friday. Day.
SDH AM hanging out here with you, 9:05. Apologies for like 9:06 and 7 because I was trying to eat a blueberry muffin before we could come on the air. Here's your rundown. It is 10 o'clock. KCD is going to join us, and we'll find out about Goal of the Year candidates in Major League Soccer, where she saw first and foremost Marcel Hartel Holiday Inn in St. Louis City this past time out. And she also started her NWSl tour, so we'll find out about what's going on with her. We'll see what else is going on. We've got some World Cup qualifiers that are one match closer to qualifying to figure out teams 43, 4, 5, and 6. Intercontinental playoff happened last night, and Efren Morales came up big for Bolivia. They advance, and they are one match closer to getting into being either team 47 or 48, depending on the time. But we got a bad lead off, and that means that after what happened last night in the high school ranks, we continue our high school discussions. We find out what it's like to be top dog and what it's like to build a program. Jose Rodriguez hanging out with us here from Meadowcreek. Look at that. He's in the office. Thanks for dropping this morning, man.
Man, I appreciate you guys having me. This is fun, man.
I wanted to kind of give folks an education on the program. My first question, you were top dog in the polls coming into this week. I'm not going to ask specifically about what happened against Peachtree Ridge. We talked about it. You gave up a handful of goals, and we talked about it on air. What do you learn from a situation like what happened where Peachtree Ridge put up a lot of goals on you, and it was an unexpected result?
Yeah, it's a question I've gotten ever since we posted the result on Tuesday night. I was just telling one of my assistants, I went from having 150 unread text messages to I think I hit like 495.
Wow.
So, in terms of where our program is, when we took over 5 years ago, I'm pretty blessed. I have a staff of about 5 or 6 coaches. We had a 5-year plan. That 5-year plan was to get to, being just academically stable, attendance stable, financially stable. And, where we are now, we really are ahead of the curve. We really are. So, we knew that, getting to this point was going to be a possibility. We're here now. Tuesday's game was just one of those games where we learned a lot about who we are as a team. It was, the first match this entire season that we really were tested in a lot of areas, a lot of variables that were controllable that we didn't control, a lot of situations that were uncontrollable that we just, couldn't manage that well. But when we got into the locker room after the loss, it wasn't a negative energy at all, which we're really content with. A lot of confusion as to what just happened, a lot of gray area trying to figure out, the conclusion of that game. But ultimately, spirits were high, heads were high. It's one thing to, if we would have lost a 3-2 game or 2-1 game and, really tough match, but losing in that manner really just showed to us we just didn't show up at all, and, 2020, right? Hindsight, we look back, our staff and I look back at some things and we talked to the kids, and ultimately we narrowed it down to a few things that we believe were the culprits to, leading to that 5-1 loss.
Jose Rodriguez, boys head coach at Meadowcreek, hanging out with us here, batting leadoff on a Freestyle Friday. When you look back, what attracted you to the gig in the first place when you were like, yeah, I think I could do something here?
So I just finished the 30 under 30 UNOSR coaches internship. And I was pretty set on going to college at that point. I spent a little bit of time with Emmanuel. Spent a little bit of time working with the El Salvador youth national team. And, that was kind of like the next step, just move into college world and kind of do that. I had a great mentor by the name of Nancy Feldman. She's retired now. She was a uh, University of Boston, women's head coach over there. So we really got to connect a lot. She was really encouraging me to pursue it. A friend of mine who lives in the Metro Atlanta area, told me about Meadowcreek High School and just the pocket of talent that this cluster has. So I kind of looked into it a little bit. And actually, when I applied to this job, I didn't apply to be a coach. I just applied to be a teacher. I want you to hire me just because of my teaching qualifications. Once I got hired and once the AD found out that I was a soccer coach and the head coach of the team found out, discussions started. And then next thing you know, I became the coach late into my first year, December. But, it's hard to not take something over that has unlimited talent. Graduated about 9 seniors last year, and we're still performing at this level. We'll graduate another 12, 13.
Wow.
Maybe team just won the region championship last night. They've gone undefeated. They've only been scored on twice. So we've got another 11 or 12 seniors coming in next year. And then for, the class that graduates in 2 years, we have another 12 seniors that are just as talented. So for us, it's never going to be a year where we, drop in talent or drop in performance. It's really just going to be, can we manage these players effectively year in and year out so they can perform at a high level?
How much work was put in off the field to get the program where it is now, considering you've got to have investment in the community, you've got to have resources, you've got to have, equipment and commitment and all these kinds of things. How much stuff below the waterline did you have to work on to get it to where it is now, where it seems like it is this machine that is just churning and churning and churning, and you have this set expectation now?
Man, it took a lot of time. It took a lot of energy. At first, it was just me pretty much running around doing everything. Now that we have, 5 coaches, so we got myself, Coach Rubraco, Coach Lover, and Coach Kaye, Coach Carmona. We're all in the building as well. So we're all teachers in the building. Every single one of those guys should be a head coach at any program in Gwinnett County. Coach Rubraco has head coaching experience. Coach Kaye was region coach of the year when he was in Discovery. Coach Lovern has experience with Atlanta United, Inter Atlanta. He was an assistant coach at Central Gwinnett. Coach Carmona has been coaching keepers for the last 7-8 years. So when we started this, we knew there was 3 categories that we really needed to punch hard into. Number 1 was the academics, the school, the building. Number 2 was the finances. I'm a huge believer that youth sports should not be expensive. They should be affordable, if not free, for the students. And the third one is just the community involvement. So the first 2-3 years, that's what we worked on. It's just making sure the kids are coming to school, they're passing their classes. So, we went from a 2.2 team GPA, I believe my first and second year, to this last fall, we finished with a 3.3 team GPA. Right. So that's massive improvement. And it's equivalent to how we're performing on the field as well. Financially, we're now in a situation, in a spot where I would say we are able to give scholarships to our student athletes. So if you have straight A's, you don't pay anything at all. Right? If you have A's and B's, you pay very minimal. You have C's, we don't give you money for C's. If you have an F at any given time, you get no scholarship money whatsoever. But this is coming from the community, right? We've got donors giving $7,000, $10,000. So on average this year, most of our kids only paid maybe around $150 for a $400, $500 Nike package, meals, travel expenses, everything. It's affordable for them. So, we've really worked hard at that because we knew the soccer is going to take care of itself in terms of the talent. We created the structure. So, we have 5 a.m. workouts. We have them in the weight room. We have so many different avenues and connections with, we started our own youth academy here at the high school, LSA Norcross. So we put all these pieces together, and now where we're at now is, like you said, right? It's a machine that's kind of cranking out a little bit. I think in the next 5 to 10 years, it's going to be a pretty recognizable name across the nation.
And one of the things on the field that I've noticed is that you've got this balance when it comes to scoring goals. I mean, there's like 1,700 different goal scorers for you this year that have contributed to all of this. When you see the investment that you and the coaches in the community make, then you see the players understand that kind of buy-in, and then that's reinforced buy-in from them. What's it like to see the student athlete understand about all of these different things that are coming to help them succeed? What's that like to see?
It's nice. We are a community that I would say has largely been forgotten. You have to really think about where Meadowcreek started or how it started, right? It was a school created to alleviate Norcross and Berkmar.
Mm-hmm.
So for the longest time, it was a majority just students from the Norcross Berkmar area. But then once the 90s hit, a lot of the immigration waves started to hit this area. So, our demographics changed. We're now a school in the Hispanic Latino population that's well into the 80s. So, when I got here, it was rare for someone to donate a meal, right? It was rare for someone to donate a sponsorship. It was rare for someone to come speak to them. Now that's become the common norm. And I think there is a sense where I think we're starting to see these kids kind of get used to that. This is now the common norm for them to get this stuff. But there are moments where we still realize like the appreciation for it, right? Someone to come give their time away to speak to them about, the future, college, work, life balance, being a husband, being a father, being a good community member. But it's really nice to see too, right? And this is what we took from, just my couple years in college. When you coach in college and you play in college, it's important to understand that you are, most importantly, a pivotal piece of the community, right? As a collegiate athlete. So making sure our student athletes understand that, hey, you do have all these things, but at any given moment, we can take all that away. We can take this locker room away. We can take all the benefits that we're giving you away. So there is a very high expectation for them to understand the appreciation of it, but also it is now their responsibility to maintain it, right? You want to have these community members continue to donate time, resources, money, food, then you have to perform on the field. And there is no exception to that whatsoever. And how do you get that? Well, you got to participate in our local club systems. You got to make sure you're training at 5 a.m.s with us. You got to make sure you're killing it in the weight room. You got to make sure you're keeping good grades up. We average 300 kids per trial, right? So it's easy for us to say, hey, you're the leading goal scorer this year. You're not staying up to our standard. We've got 3 more guys who are brand new coming in, so we're going to go with them. So that kind of mentality, intensity really keeps these kids in tune and just hungry for more.
What else do you need to continue to be successful like this?
Really, what we need is just from the coaching staff is humility. That's one thing we've discussed is willingness to ask questions to those who have been doing it longer. Frank at Johnson, Coach Matt at Dalton,
Yep.
Coach Scott at Westminster, Chris Wilson at Lambert. I mean, those are just programs. Chris Aiken at Clark Central. You look at those programs, Molly McCarty at Jefferson. You look at those programs, and what you see is just consistency in what they perform and what they do. You have the community involvement. You have the support of the administration, which has been big for us as well. But that's what we need. We need to remember. That's one of the things I tell my staff. This is not something new, right? This has been done multiple times across different programs. It is new to us, so there's no need for us to overwhelm ourselves. We need to create a specific culture of what Meadowcreek soccer is going to look like, and it's not going to be like Johnson or Jefferson or Dalton. It's going to be our own thing. But we can take these models from these other programs, ask questions. Whenever I talk to Molly or Frank, they're so quick to just like share their failures with me. And, and things that worked for them that maybe won't work for us, or, things that didn't work for them that will work for us. So really just keeping ourselves humble, making sure that we understand that this is not something that is new, specifically new to us, and just continue to grow and ask questions. And I think it's going to stay stable if we keep that mindset as a staff. For the players, I would say for them, it's just reminding themselves where they came from. We are a working community. Our student athletes work jobs. If we are out of school, they can't make practice because they got to go work and help their parents. So just keeping that hunger mentality and understanding like nothing's going to come easy to us, no matter how much is being poured in from everyone else.
When we do the noon show on Wednesdays, earlier this year, we had a conversation with Molly and with Doc Mike Tolmick at Brookwood.
Mm-hmm.
And it was eye-opening. It's always fun to be able to catch up with Frank and to catch up with Matt Cheeves, to catch up with Molly and Doc Mike and all of these different folks that have been around forever. And we actually got a conversation going between Molly and Doc Mike about scheduling each other, because it's like, hey, let's challenge ourselves. And, so you're probably going to see next year Brookwood taking on Jefferson girls in non-region, just because they're like, yeah, let's go ahead and see it. If you had the chance, would you want to line yourself up against a boys coach like Matt or Frank or anything like that in a non-region setup next year? And when do you start plotting your schedule? How can we broker learning both on the field and off with you?
Yeah, I think that would be phenomenal. We played Frank a couple times. The first time we played him, they absolutely trashed us. They you can just tell the discipline on the field for them was so much greater than ours. Second time we played him, we tied them, right? So you can kind of see a little bit change of the tide. We want to play the Johnsons, the Daltons, the Southeast Whitfields. We want to play the Lamberts. We scheduled Pace Academy this year, Westminster. And we're not intimidated in the sense of we want to, we believe we can compete with these teams. And more importantly, what we like to do is we like to show our players where we can be 10 years from now, right? Where we can be 5 years from now. That you are just as good, if not better, right? I'm going to be, prideful of my team, if not better than all these other programs. So, me and Frank were always texting. I'm trying to get him on the schedule. He's got everything so, lined up. He's got to play Gainesville. He's got to play his Hawk County 985 Cup.
Yeah.
So trying to get on the schedule is always difficult to do. But, hopefully we can get one next year. I think we need to go to him because they came to us last time. But I think it'd be a great matchup.
Two more questions, and let me know if you need a note to give to Dr. Wood if you're to get back into class. One, we have a feature here at SDH called the Georgia Call Up, and it's with our friends at the Georgia Student Finance Association and GA Futures. They're a great partner with us. When I do high school football FOOTBALL over at GPB, as part of our recruiting segments, we have this thing called Make That Kid an Offer, where if there is a student athlete that is too whatever, and I just used air quotes, they could be too small, they could be too out of position, they could be too geographically challenged to go and recruit, and they're not getting the looks that you think they deserve, or they're not just getting looks, period. Is there a senior that you have this year that might fit that bill of like, hey, you need to take a look at this student athlete for everything that they're bringing to the table?
100%. It's our goalkeeper, Alex Diouf. Alex comes from a family who migrated here from, I believe, Cameroon. Just a phenomenal human being. He is an MLS Next goalkeeper, UPSL Premier, has U.S. Open Cup experience. Currently this season, up until Tuesday, he had only been scored on one time this entire season. Just an amazing player that we have. He's an above 4.0 GPA student. Has dreams and aspirations to go and be a lawyer, and it's connected to his family. But the one thing that we have struggled with him is because we started the recruiting process so late with him, he wasn't 100% sure what he wanted to do. We're now kind of stuck in limbo. I think this is a kid that is just under the radar, and it's not just me saying this. We've worked real closely with USA Recruits, a recruiting company that kind of helps us with getting our kids landed, and even the agents that we speak of is. This kid is being under recruited. He's 6'2", 6'3", phenomenal goalkeeper. I understand that, other colleges already got commitments for the 26th year, but this is a kid that's not going to cost you a dime. You're not going to have to give athletic scholarship if he stays in the state of Georgia. He is going to be your hardest working kid. He's going to be a complete locker room, culture-driven human being. And the most important thing is this kid improves every single year. He's only played club for 2 years. And he has grown tremendously. So if he can get into, and I believe he is a D1 talent, if he can get into a Mercer, a Georgia State, or Georgia Southern, by the time he's a junior and senior, he's going to be your starting keeper. He's going to be the forefront of your defensive line, and he's just going to be a great human to have.
Okay, so I'm going to shoot you an email so we can start that conversation offline so we can have him be a part of our call-up segment. Perfect. If the build of your program was a scientific equation or a scientific principle to get you from A to B from where you started to where you are now, is there a particular science equation or a scientific principle that would apply? I'm asking this because for those who don't know, he's a science teacher on campus. I figured I'd ask.
I was a biology teacher for a little bit. So does it have to be a real one, or can I just make one up?
Well, if there's a real one that fits, go for it. But if you want to make one up, go for it, and we'll see if it applies to anything.
Man, okay. So that's tough. Let's see. Let me.
I mean, it's not like Avogadro's number or anything like that.
Man, that's a good question. So that's making me think.
Sorry to do that on a Friday morning.
It is tough. I haven't even had coffee yet. Let's see. Oh man.
See?
That's a good one, man. That's a really good one.
All right. Well, then think on it, and then when you have an answer, as we're going to be emailing offline about Alex, when you come up with it, then I'll announce it on the air, and then Alex can sit there and go, "Here's what he thought about what's going on."
Perfect.
You've got matchups tonight with Duluth 5:30 and 7:30. So, what do you think about this matchup coming up tonight?
I think it's going to be a good one. Duluth is a well-structured and well-balanced team. Coach Angel has done a great job with them. They are the reigning region champs, so we're going to be respectful of that always. It's at their place, but our boys are coming in pretty hungry and filled with emotion and energy from Tuesday's match. They want to prove all the outside noise are wrong. So it's going to be a good match. I'm sure it's going to be competitive at every level, but we're excited for it.
And we can't thank you enough for dropping by, batting leadoff on a Friday. You're still cool about getting back into class. You don't need a note or anything?
I'm good. I don't need a note.
Good deal. Do not be a stranger. Obviously, like I said, we're going to be talking offline and everything, but we're going to be keeping an eye on the program. Great what you and the staff have been able to do there over a handful of seasons. Do not be a stranger when it comes to all of our high school coverage and everything like that. Great to see you, my friend. Go get your coffee, and we'll catch up with you soon.
You too. Thank you so much, Don.
There we go. Jose Rodriguez. He's the head coach on the boys' side over at Meadowcreek. And the Mustangs coming into this week ranked number 1 in the scoreboard rankings. And they took one on the chin to Peachtree Ridge, 5-1. And so now they get to go to Duluth tonight to try to resurrect everything and get back on the winning ways. They had lost earlier in the season to Carrollton, and that one took a little while because it was goalless after 80, 90, and 100, and then you end up with Carrollton getting the Duke. And so Carrollton wins back on February 28th out there at Grisham, and then the loss to Peachtree Ridge at home. And so now it is a handful of matches left. They're at Duluth on the 27th. Then they go to Brookwood on the 2nd. Then it's spring break. And then they come back and wrap up with Sprayberry on the 16th on decision day. And then everybody figures out where they are as you fill out your brackets in pen and figure out what's going on. So it's always great to catch up with folks. And I thought that it was a cool story on a bunch of different levels. And that's why I wanted to sit there and knock on Coach Rodriguez's door and find out what's going on up there and give everybody the 411, I think, as the kids say. I think the kids still say that when it comes to getting the 411 about everything. So, as always, great to continue our coverage for high school, the Red Clay Soccer Report. So I guess technically that was a Red Clay Soccer segment brought to us by our friends. Let me point up here. There we go. Kaiser Permanente. Can't do it without them. And thanks to them for being a great help and a great partner and a great friend to all of our coverage here this season. So Kacey White's going to be joining us top of the hour, and then she will make a point to talk about everything going on in St. Louis with Marcel Hartel and then with the NWSl. So that season has started as well. And once again, it's great to catch up with folks and friends when it comes to anything and everything going on in and around the state of Georgia when it comes to soccer. And then we even got a call-up out of it. We're going to keep an eye on Alex and find out what's going on between the stakes for Meadowcreek as we go. So, as always, great to catch up with our friends in and around the state and find out what's going on when it comes to high school soccer. So the rest of the show this morning, obviously, it is a big rundown of anything and everything that it is, once again, late night for us in Hogansville. And we can't thank everybody there for helping us out and being a great partner there. It was our first trip to see what's new at Callaway and Morgan County. It's great to be there for both of those matchups. You had a top 10 boys matchup in AA, and it went it went past 70 minutes and you had a goal scored. It was a back and forth game, 2-1 down, 3-2 up your final on the boys' side. Girls end up winning in a shootout for Morgan County. So it was a split, but it was great soccer. And we can't thank our friends at both schools enough for helping us with the intel and the rundown of everything that is there for the high school action. All right, so it's 9:30. Technically, it's 9:31, and I apologize because that means I'm officially late. I'm late. I'm horribly late. How's that for Alice in Wonderland? And so I guess that makes me the Mad Hatter on a Friday. So we catch in with our buddy Parky, find out what's going on beyond goals. What's going on, my friend?
What is happening, John? That opening, by the way, just reminded me of something my family gives me a hard time about a lot.
Oh,
quick story. When I was with the Columbus Crew and we were doing like media day,
yeah,
sometimes they do like these fun little things. They ask these fun questions. They asked me, "Can you name the 7 dwarfs?" And I named one.
Yeah, I'm right there with you.
And at the time, I did have 2 smaller kids, 2 young kids.
Yeah,
and it was embarrassing for the fam. So they give me a hard time to this day that I could name only one.
So can you name the 7 now?
No.
See, there you go. I'm right there with you.
I can name a few.
Yeah. It's like, dopey, sleepy, bashful.
Oh, wow. Well done.
Then you got like, sneezy, scratchy.
Now you sound like me back in the day.
It's like I'll hit a wall after about a halfway point, and then you just kind of sit there. Wasn't scratchy one of them? Wasn't fatty one of them? Wasn't skinny one of them, or something like that?
Right. As if it has a Y at the end of it, it's likely in there.
Yeah. So if you sit there and you treat it as an adverb, then I think you're fine. Yeah, and that you sit there and that's part of it too. If you sound convincing enough about it,
totally.
Then everybody's like, "Oh yeah, I remember that one. Yeah, that dwarf was absolutely one of the dwarfs." Pokey or whatever. I thought Pokey was with Gumby or Gumby was with Pokey, and then they're all dwarfs anyway. It's whatever. When it comes to nursery rhymes and fairy tales, I mean, in the days of black and white television and movable type, I might have been able to remember them, but not today. That's not how I'm wired these days. We're kind of getting toward the end of the regular season when it comes to high schools here in the state of Georgia. We just had, before you came on, we had the head coach at Meadowcreek, and he is a biology teacher, and he has taken that program in 6A 5 years ago from basically an afterthought high school that was kind of created to separate the overage of Norcross and Berkmar and Gwinnett County to create Meadowcreek. And he's gone in 5 years to take the boys program from basically this afterthought to where they were top ranked in 6A this past week. And I asked about growth and things like that. So when it comes to high school programs and all of their growth, I wanted to ask specifically, as these new teams are getting ready to go into the playoffs for the first time, or they're making a deep run with a lot of expectations, do conversations with your mentees happen more as they get closer to postseasons? Does it happen less because they're locked in and you hope that they're locked in on what's going on? Do they want more advice as the season goes along, or do they want less sometimes?
Typically more.
Okay.
The pressure gets higher, and the confidence can wane a little bit, or the nerves just increase. So typically more. We see that. And then there's some big tournaments going on right now. Dallas Cup is going to start next week, I think. GA is going on right now down in Bradenton. So, typically around big events and playoffs included, we get a few more calls.
Is it mainly confidence, reinforcement of path, and day-to-day activity? What are the topics normally when you're catching up with them later in the year?
Yeah, the biggest one, how to handle nerves, right? How to handle it when you're very nervous before a game, or you're unsure, or how do you handle that in the build-up? So that's a big one.
Well, so then when you were nervous, and I guess we'll start there and bring it forward. So when you were nervous in a big game scenario before you got to Wake, before you turned into a professional athlete and handled nervousness in different ways, how nervous were you in your high school years? your mentee equivalent years, I guess, is probably the way to look at it. How nervous were you in these kinds of situations?
It's funny, I don't really remember being nervous as a youth player.
Huh.
Maybe I was, but I don't remember being so. I was, a pretty confident kid, but even confident people are nervous, and that's the big thing I stress is I was nervous before most of my pro games. The bigger the game, the more nervous I was, just like anybody else, right? I tell kids, you're playing in World Cup qualifiers, Olympic games, Champions League games, MLS Cup finals. Like, yeah, nervous, really nervous. Not only that, but most of those games are occurring at like 7 o'clock at night or 8 o'clock at night. So you got all day. So, that's the first thing that I always tell them is, hey, nerves are okay, right? It's not a bad thing. It just means you care, right? It's just how you handle those nerves and where that nervous energy comes out. Does it come out as if like, hey, let's go, can't wait to play today, let's get this energy going? Or does it come out like, oh shoot, I'm scared, don't want to
Probably
go
something different. Is it probably a different word than shoot? But yeah,
yeah. It could be.
well, because then I've seen athletes in these situations who are on the professional side and we all feel it in the day to day. If you're not nervous or have that nervous excitement or that nervous energy, people kind of question, okay, really, how motivated are you? How locked in are you? How are you showing it outwardly?
Mhm.
I would think that each athlete is different. And then I know that you and Greg have to navigate those differences, but I would think that how you show your nervous energy is just as different as how you may handle nervous energy, because there might be some folks that are introverts and they would be like, yeah, I'm nervous, end of sentence. And you're sitting there and you're kind of hoping for more information about something like this. And that's just how they are. They're just kind of like, yeah, I'm nervous. We'll be cool later on, but I'm nervous right now. But then there are those that are kind of bouncing off the wall and you wish you could give them decaf or something and you just kind of sit there and put them in the corner for a bit. Does it concern you when someone doesn't show nervous energy, or, do you kind of understand that folks are different when it comes to things?
I've learned that, but there's definitely players that come across as like nonchalant, or they don't care
Mhm.
because they're so cool and calm. I'll give you an example. Miles Robinson can come off like that a little bit.
Mhm.
Right? He's very cool and calm and rarely emotional, and whether good things or bad things are occurring. And so it can come off as nonchalant sometimes, or like, oh, especially if he doesn't play well or things don't go well, oh, he doesn't care.
Yeah.
Right. Well, that's not the case, because it's the same when he crushes it and he does really well. And so people are different, but that is a good point. I'm going to actually start using that with mentees. Something you said just triggered in my head is coaches want winners, and they want players that care about winning. And when you're nervous, you care about winning. You want to play well, and that's okay, right? As long as that nervousness comes out as that energy, and okay, I'm going to give it everything I got today versus, oh shoot, I can't do it today. So
Yes. Oh, shoot.
mhm.
I can't do it today. Yes. Oh, shoot. Absolutely. But I would imagine that there are some, when you have all these conflicting emotional nervous energies, that it probably takes a little while for teammates or friends or coaches to sit there and understand where someone like a Miles might be coming from. Where if someone, is nervous and they're, doing the Sonny Hayes thing with the tennis balls going through the pit stalls and everything, just trying to sit there and stay active, versus someone who's just kind of like, yeah, okay, I know what's coming. You don't have to remind me it's coming. I know it's coming. It's just that there are times, I would imagine, when you have those conflicts of emotional personalities in locker rooms, where you just want to have everybody understand where the other person's coming from.
Totally.
I don't need you to coach me up in this situation. I'm cool.
Totally.
And it just, I would imagine that probably takes a lot of learning by teammates and coaches, at the same time that the individual that is Miles-ish stays Miles-ish, and you don't want them to handle it in a way that's unfamiliar to them at the same time.
That's right, because when you come into the locker room after a game and you get smashed 3-0, you can tell the guy who's pissed off and kicking cleats around and, swearing up a storm and yelling around, you can tell he's upset and he's emotional. But the guy like Miles, or sometimes even myself, who's just sitting there, right, assessing it, taking it in, doesn't mean we don't care. Doesn't mean we are not upset about what just occurred, right? We're handling it in a different way. And, what makes that person play well and their emotions is the same thing that what makes somebody like me or Miles play well, in that we don't have that emotion, right? So yeah, it is difficult to see sometimes, because it comes across as either, oh, he's too emotional, you need to chill out, or hey, why don't you care?
Yeah, it's like, you're aloof. No, I actually give 100%. Just if you would spend a little bit more time around me, then you would realize that I'm not being aloof, and this is just who I am personality wise. Were you always the laid back dude? Because we mentioned how pressure and those going into these situations, but were you always just the more analytical type when it came to game day, handling adversity, handling success? Were you even keel, or were you emotional and then you kind of changed and got into the decaf as you grew?
No, always been pretty level.
Mm-hmm.
There were definitely moments here and there throughout my career when, and that's helpful, because when you go off the rails, when you're usually pretty stoic and calm, it gets everyone's attention really quickly.
Yes.
So I can specifically remember a couple instances, and
Oh,
because those are outliers, right? One was Champions League. We played Shakhtar Donetsk at home, and they scored an illegal goal, right? I don't know if I've ever told you, John, but
no, did Fred do something we didn't know about?
what was his name? Adriano.
Yeah, Adriana, yeah.
So we kicked the ball out of bounds,
Okay.
because I think they have somebody down.
Oh, okay.
Right? Ball's around midfield. So they throw the ball into one of their teammates, who kicks it to our goalkeeper. Striker runs on to the through ball, as all of us are just waiting for the goalkeeper to pick it, dribbles around our goalkeeper and puts it in the net.
Oh.
And that was 1-0.
Oh.
And so there was a huge melee. It took forever. I think some players on Shakhtar were okay with us going down the field and just scoring.
Yeah.
But a few players on their team were like, nope, that's not happening. So anyways, Adriano scored 2 more goals in that game and never really got hit really hard. And I went in the game afterward, in the locker room afterwards, and I've never been more livid in my life. It was an embarrassing performance. We lost 5-3, and it was I felt embarrassed by our performance because of that.
And so then you're lighting people up because the pitcher didn't throw a blowback pitch, and everybody was. So what was the reaction in the locker room? Did everybody just kind of sit there and was it jaws open and like, dude completely was out of control here? What was the reaction?
I don't even remember at halftime, because this was like 15, 20 minutes in. I don't even remember at halftime if we talked about it or what happened. I know we filed a complaint afterwards, and FIFA came down and gave him a little slap on the wrist.
And you got a yellow at 90+2 on this.
Did I?
Yeah.
I don't remember that either.
Yeah.
But I remember thinking, like, if maybe I was playing right back, so I didn't really go up against Adriano much, because he was playing center striker. And but I always remember thinking, like, I should have just gone in there and clattered him myself. But I think everybody was probably a little nervous to get a red card, because obviously the referee's expecting it. I don't know, but it was embarrassing either way, that not only we didn't get him hard, but that we allowed him to score 2 more goals in the game. It's just terrible.
Yeah, and so the locker room, you go in after let's see, so you get a yellow at 90+2. Let's see, Kucher got a yellow in the 90th. Christensen got a yellow in the 90th. Luis Adriano had scored in the 81st. He scored in the 53rd. Willian scored in the 50th and the 44th. So it was Luis Adriano had a hattie.
Yeah.
And Willian had a brace. And
is it 5-2 or 5-3?
5-2.
5-2.
So it was Nordstrand scored in the 24th. Luis Adriano scored in the 26th. Lorenzen scores in the 29th. Willian in the 44th. Then you go to break. Then Willian scores in the 50th, Luis Adriano in the 53rd, and then again in the 81st. You got your yellow at 90+2, and
they had a very good team. They got out of that group with
Uh-huh.
Chelsea and Juve.
and I mean, it was, and this was the beginning of like their Brazilian connection with the agents, where it was Eduardo,
Exactly.
it was Douglas Costa, it was Ilsinho, Luis Adriano, Mkhitaryan was there, Alex Teixeira, Fernandinho,
They had a very good team.
Stepanenko, Rakitsky, Diego, Cerna, the big captain who was there forever, and Piatov, who was in net forever for them, going up against Mr. Lucescu. But yeah, so then you blow up in the locker room. It was Kasper Schulman. What was his response? And did everybody else sit there and go, "Damn, what happened to him?"
No, I think everybody understood and respected it, because, like I said, normally you're not like that, and I think that when it comes out of the ordinary, like it does for me when it comes out, it's respected. Versus, if you're constantly bickering and saying stuff and stuff, when you do freak out, kind of everybody's just like, "Oh, there he goes again,"
Yeah.
type thing. So no, I just remember being really quiet, and I was just going off and emotional, and yeah.
Yeah, and there was, I'm sure that there was some bleepity bleeps that were in there. November 20th, 2012.
2012, that's right.
And it was a Tuesday that I'm sure that you remember for the wrong reasons. But yeah, when you mentioned, going atypical in a personality, you've got to measure those moments, because as you say, if you're quiet normally, then you blow up, then folks understand, whoa, he's, something really must be, bugging him, or needs to bug all of us. But if you continue to go back to that, if you're quiet normally, and then, every once in a while, more often than you probably should, to go against type, then people don't take you as seriously. If you go back to something that's out of character, that kind of turns into character, if that makes any sense.
Sure does.
The whole boy crying wolf bit.
Sure does. Dell's on fire over there on the side, talking about Charleston, and Rhode Island hasn't won a game yet.
Man.
Yeah. Life is good over there for Dell right now. And then, how many red cards?
So how many red cards did you get in your career, Cap?
I think, is it just 2? I got a false identity red card once.
Whoa, what?
Playing for Columbus Crew. Other center back. Yeah.
I was gonna say, you were masquerading as somebody. Wait a minute, what?
Oh, actually, I remember I got two reds, because I got one with Atlanta United. Was it with Atlanta?
Let's find out. Let's go to our.
No, actually, I think it was with Columbus.
Okay, so let's find out with our friends.
I had a red card where I kind of gave it a little chicken wing on the goal line against Orlando City. Wow, Dell, you got a great memory.
Wow.
Yeah, it was against Orlando, down in Orlando. I just can't remember if I was playing with Atlanta or Columbus, but I gave it a little chicken wing and got a red card. And then in Open Cup with Columbus Crew, I was very unhappy and smashed somebody kind of late in the game.
But did they deserve it?
They did. And it happened like right on the sideline, right in the front of the tunnel. I didn't even see him give me the red card. I just started walking to the tunnel.
You're out the door.
Yeah. I think those were the only 3. So one was rescinded because it was not the right person.
Yes.
And that was tough to, like, in that situation. I didn't know whether, and I told the ref, I said, hey, I was very calm. And I said, hey, ref, it wasn't me. And he's like, yes, it was, Michael. It was. Just go off. And at that point, am I supposed to be like throwing my teammate under the bus? It was him. It was this guy. Right. So I just left it. And afterwards, we got the apology.
Yeah. So it's like, oops, our bad. So, but yeah, literally one in 2015 and one in 2016. So those are your 2. So they were both crew-based red cards in your time in Major League Soccer. So at least that's according to our friends at Transfermarkt. And so they're far better than the Wikipedias when it comes to doing these kinds of things. You mentioned personalities and dealing with pressure and all these kinds of things. I've got to ask this: when it comes to the United States and what they are chasing after here, 25 caps on the senior side, I mean, that's a different kind of pressure, and you got these friendlies coming up this weekend, and it's representing your country. How did you handle that differently, or did you try to stay within yourself? Was it a different kind of pressure? Did you treat the pressure the same even though you were wearing your national colors? What was the handling of the pressure wearing your country's uniform?
Yeah, I tried not to think honestly about the severity of it,
Mhm.
right? Because when you think about it and you really dissect it, you're like, wow, I'm representing, and not everybody actually cares about, the national soccer team, whether it's men's or women's, right? But there are millions that do, possibly even 100 million. I don't know. And so when you start to think about that and, oh, shoot, you're representing everyone, and if you don't do well and you don't do this, you're going to be letting a lot of people down. Right. That's tough to perform.
Yeah.
So I didn't think about that. Right.
Huh.
It's just like, hey, you know what team you're playing for, and you know that there's more emotions and there's more energy and stuff like that. But that's the most I would allow myself to, like, hey, focus on that versus like the repercussions of a game or representing the team at the Olympics or qualifier stuff.
What do you think it's like in that locker room? Obviously, this week, because you've got the two friendlies here in town. CR41 is not going to be in the Portugal one instead of 7 because he's 41 years old. That's why I call him CR41 instead of CR7. You got Belgium coming to town. You've got Portugal coming to town. You're under 100 days. This to me seems like it is pressure of the nth degree that you're having to deal with because it's on your home soil. All the expectations are there. How did you tune out noise? It's just in general. Did you just ignore it? Did you accept it? Were you Teflon to it? Did it just bounce off of you? How did you handle noise in high pressure situations?
I do want to answer that question, but before I do, I do think that the pressure that the guys are going to feel
Yeah.
is going to be different than they'll feel at the World Cup. At the World Cup, they'll be representing the country.
Okay.
I think this weekend, yes, they are representing the country, but the pressure they're going to feel is individually because they want to make the World Cup team.
Okay.
It's that pressure to perform because I want to make the team. Yes, they know that they're representing the US and the pressure that comes with that, and that leading up to the World Cup. And, it gets intertwined a little bit, but I do think it's more individual based right now versus, at the World Cup, it'll be a little bit different.
Right.
But dealing with the pressure, and I tell my mentees this, that you can still be confident even though you're nervous.
Mm-hmm.
And so I was nervous leading up to big games like that, especially when you're representing the country, or there's going to be a massive crowd. On game days, I didn't want to think about the game at all. Keep yourself busy, going for walks, watching movies, watching soccer on TV, doing anything to keep the mind off of the game, because otherwise you get energy zapped, which is no bueno. So no thinking of the game on game day. Preparation's already been done. And then once the game starts, the pressure goes away. The confidence kicks in.
Mm-hmm.
So at that point, you don't hear the crowd. You just know whether how loud it is based off of can my teammates hear me talking?
Yes.
Or not. And if that's how we know how loud it is. It was very rare for me to be like, oh my God, it's so loud in here. Mm-hmm. It happened here and there, but otherwise it was just, I don't know, part of the experience. You get used to it.
How do you not think about a game on a game day? Because you mentioned no bueno energy zapping. How do you lock out a game on game day? That's got to be difficult.
Yeah, I think that's where routines come in handy, and that's where having people to talk to and things to do, right? So it's just, hey, what are we going to do for breakfast? What are we going to talk about at breakfast? Okay, what's next, right? Are we going to go watch usually games on Saturday? So sometimes there's EPL to watch in the morning. So and it's just routine, watch EPL and focused on that. Or hey, I'm going to I'm going to binge a movie right now, or 3 TV shows for the next hour and a half, or whatever. I'm going to go to my next meal. I'm going to take my nap, right? You just have a routine.
Okay.
And it's a little bit different, I know, for youth players, because their games are, different times, and you don't have the full control of your schedule when you're 12 or 13, right? But that's how I did it as a pro anyways.
Huh. And it seems to me like, knowing that that's at the end of the day, in the case of a night game, so it's like, okay, I got to keep myself busy, and I'm trying to keep myself busy at the same time that I know that this is happening at the end of the day. It seems that this thing is over there at the end of the line. It's coming. It's almost like an eventuality. And I would be driven nuts trying to sit there, and it's like, okay, I know I'm doing this. It's like, okay, I'm back timing my life. If I've got to be here, I've got to leave at this time. Knowing that thing is at the end, I would almost want to have a game earlier in the day, so I'm not having to think about as many different get to game day.
Yeah, I understand what you're saying. But yeah, that once you get into a routine, though, it's nice to have that later in the day, right? Because then okay, I got my meal at 3 o'clock or 3:30 versus, oh shoot, we got to. Every now and then it was usually in Canada, as Canadians, having like a noon or a 1 o'clock kickoff. And it's like, okay, shoot, now my pregame meal's at 8:30. Am I having breakfast for a pregame meal? Am I going to get up at 6 and have breakfast, and then so I can have a normal pregame? So it's weird. At like an 8:30 pregame meal, you've got like pasta and chicken over here.
I was going to ask, do you do the pasta and chicken for breakfast on a game day?
I did not. I just could not eat chicken and pasta at 8:30 in the morning. So it was there for, I think a couple guys wanted that, but over here was like the breakfast stuff. So I did breakfast. Okay. But yeah, so it's just weird. It throws things off if your pregame meal's at a different time than normal, like 6, 6:30, 7, 7:30, 8 o'clock, right? That's okay. Right. But when you start to get into a 2 o'clock kickoff or a 1 o'clock or 12, like it throws off a normal game day.
Darn Canadians.
Yeah, or the USL final last year was it's going to be the same. It could possibly be the same this year. It's a 12 o'clock contracted Eastern time with CBS. So if a West Coast team is hosting the final, that final is going to be at 9 a.m. local time. Yeah, it's brutal.
So then, you're rooting probably for somebody like Colorado Springs or something like that, or maybe Tulsa.
No, we're rooting for Rhode Island to be hosting, John.
Well, you mentioned the Western time zone. Shoot, I'll take that. All right, fine. Since you went there, you've got to go to South Dade Kia Field and Pitbull Stadium to take on not a Miami FC, but the Miami FC. And they like to make that designation.
Yes,
the Miami FC. It's a 7 o'clock kicks on a Saturday, so that's not too bad when you look at the standings right now. And it is the standard bouts of chaos, and you've got matches in hand. Brooklyn's already played 4. You've only got 2 in the barn so far, but you're just kind of hovering right now. I know it's early returns, but what have you
seen? Overall, pretty positive. We hosted Jacksonville for our first game, and I think our XG was like 2.5 to like 0.3, and we tied 1-1. So, that happens every now and then. We went to Louisville, which is obviously the toughest place to play. And we went toe to toe with them. We were, 3-2. We have a header. We saved off the line, leads to a melee. We end up getting a couple of red cards in the melee. And and they go down the field and score a 4th goal in like the 90th. So, but we were right there with them, going back and forth. And so, scoring goals was our problem last year. So it's nice that we've got, 4 goals in 2 games, or 3 goals in 2 games, but could have been a lot more. So yeah, we're disappointed we only have 1 point through 2 games. Yeah, but that's okay. If we can get a win in Miami and go back home and play a couple games, we'll be all right.
Okay, just checking. All right, so what else is going on that folks need to know about with Beyond Goals on a J.J. Williams red-carded Friday?
What is going on with Beyond Goals? Well, we're announcing this. I forget if I told you the center back camp. Center back, what do I want to call it? Academy that I'm doing with Jimmy Conrad.
Center back you with Jimmy Conrad?
Correct. So okay. 4-week program for center backs where we're going to dissect a position. So excited to do that. Greg and I just finalized we're going to do a camp, a pre-World Cup camp, like a few days before right leading up to the World Cup. I think the World Cup opener's on the 12th. I think we're doing like 9, 10, 11, 10, 11, 12. I don't know, something like that in Atlanta.
Okay.
So, yeah, excited for those two things.
Cool. Center back you and coming back down here for camp. Obviously, don't be a stranger, sir. It's great to see you. And I know that Deacon has been staring at us the whole time going, can you stop talking?
Sure has.
It's not a shock. Have a good weekend, my friend. We'll see you soon.
You as well, John.
All right. That's Michael Parkhurst. And Michael Parkhurst and center back you. Looking forward to that. So now, it is past the top of the hour. I've dillied and dallied. And now we're now catching up with one of the busiest people on the planet. And I mean this seriously, because literally you turn and she's someplace else. She's on a plane. She's cutting a promo. She's shooting a commercial. Casey D, where you be?
I'm home. Can you believe it? Just for a few days.
Yeah. Owen is sitting there. For those that may not follow Casey D on her socials, there was this picture that was posted on the gram or the IG or the Insta, whatever the kids call it. And she's hugging Owen. And Owen, the guardian of the galaxy there. And Owen has this look on his face like, you're leaving. I hate you. Don't touch me.
He always is very dramatic, and then he has a great time, and everything's fine. So I just have to remind myself of that.
Okay, just checking. So you came home after this most recent sojourn, and he looked up at you, and it's like, oh, where have you been?
He did. I came home from St. Louis mid-afternoon Sunday. I flew out mid-afternoon Monday. So he was like, this is a bit of a pump fake here. And so that was a quick one, and that doesn't normally happen too often.
Yep. And so the pump fake is over. We've got 2 leagues to discuss. And my first question for you, going back to you got your arch photo, which was just as important. Now, when you go back to St. Louis, we've got to get you into the food and get you to different places than just Energizer. But
I know.
What was Matt Turner thinking when Marcel Hartel Holiday Inn launched from 45 and sent it over Matt Turner into the net? What in the wide world of sports was Matt Turner thinking there?
I'll be quite honest with you. I don't put any of this on Matt Turner. I think most people that are watching the end of that goal as he's like launching himself towards the goal, which I don't even know how he got back that quickly, to be quite honest, is thinking, oh, the goalkeeper's out of the goal. Well, when you're in an expansive shaped building with no one pressuring, St. Louis was in a block. They weren't really stepping high, and it was a technical turnover. Matt Turner should have advanced position underneath his back line to help in the build, and he should be higher up. Marcel Hartel hit this absolutely perfect. And if he hadn't, I believe Matt Turner would have been able to save Ceballos, but it was perfect. And so going through his head, I'm not 100% sure, but probably, why are we losing the ball there? Oh my goodness. And maybe some other choice words besides, oh my goodness, but I don't want to assume how he was completely thinking in that moment.
No, I'm sure that the colorful metaphors were going through his head on that particular moment. What did you see from, and I guess we'll take it a team at a time, with Yohan May now in charge at St. Louis City, you wondered where the offense was going to come from with Joao Klaus now in LAG, and trying to figure out where the goals are going to come from. What have you seen from them this past week specifically? Is there hope? Is there alternatives? What's the alternative now, not having Joao Klaus?
This past week, it was defensive structure and ability to transition to the attack. Mm-hmm. The difference was that there was a clinical piece to the way they finished in those moments. Through the first 4 weeks, their defensive structure was quite sound. They were generating attacking transition moments, but the ability to finish was not there. And so what we saw this week is in goal 1 and goal 3, they were able to capitalize and be very efficient. Then the set piece goal off the corner kick for Durkin. I think that what they're trying to figure out still is through the run of play, through their own build, how are they going to generate goal scoring chances? Not only chances, but be able to put them away, because we've seen that they can build through the thirds very well. The possession is sound. Opposition coaches are even saying that before this win came, was that they knew St. Louis City knew how to play through the midfield, and they were worried about that. The difference this past week was just the efficiency piece. But I do love their defensive structure. I think they're very hard to build against at times, and they made it hard on New England.
Now, speaking of the Revs, it seems like I don't know what version they are. Forrest Gump's box of chocolates. It seems with the Revs, I don't know what I'm going to get from week to week when it comes to the Revs offensively. They could be blowing people out. They could be looking like they're having problems and having issues tying their shoes together. It's just I don't know which New England I'm getting on a week to week basis. What have you seen with what Marko Mitrovic has pieced together so far?
I think there's just a lack of consistency to your point. I felt that they generated opportunities in this game. They just were not using the wing spaces quite as much. The width was not as friendly to them. I thought that there were a lot of opportunities where the players on the ball had decisions to play a little bit more vertical with purpose, not without purpose, to take away what St. Louis City was doing. But they weren't able to generate enough of that. And I think that was the part that was really difficult for them, was just figuring out the spaces to really get through the defensive structure of City.
Okay, so then if you were the Revs, from what you saw with what City was doing defensively, how would you have tried to attack what City was doing to try to create success for New England in those situations?
The wide areas for me, getting the outside backs high. When St. Louis City was high up the pitch and they turn over the ball in possession, they have their 3 center backs. So the space is wide between the center backs and the wing backs. And so in transition moments, I felt like that those balls or the change of point could have been successful for New England. And I didn't think New England had a bad performance by any means. This time, St. Louis just figured out how to score in the main moments. Because if Marcel Hartl doesn't hit potentially a goal of the year type of goal, this is a 2-1 game. It's not like New England was played off the park. They were searching. There was a mistake and then amazing technical execution to provide the separation.
Okay, since we're in the bye week, when we had our friend Nico Moreno coming in from Seattle, Georgie Manungu getting traded to Colorado is another shocker that happened yesterday. What we did was we played a game called red light, yellow light, green light.
Okay.
And what we do there is in bye weeks and gap space, the red light, who is concerning to you right now in Major League Soccer? Who is like red light completely stopped, hoods up, transmissions out, engines, oil spilling all over the place. Yellow light is like, okay, I kind of see some stuff and it's either good heading toward bad or bad trending one way or the other, or they're just not doing anything. And they're like a C+ that, okay, great. You get a 75 and, whatever. And then green light, folks that are surprises, that are doing well, that have exceeded expectations, or, folks that we sat there and we was like, yeah, okay, I understand. They're doing what they were supposed to do. So they're a green light. I'd like to do that with you.
Okay.
From what you've seen, now we're here in the bye week. And so now you know what to anticipate when we're talking bye weeks before we get into our NWSL discussion. Do you want to start with red light or do you want to start with green light? Do you want to start with bad and work toward good? Do you want to go good and work toward bad?
Bad towards good for sure. And this is off the cuff because I didn't know this is what you did in bye week. So we'll see what comes out of my mouth here.
Okay, so then let's set it up. So red light, we're starting here. And these are teams either that you've seen in person or teams that you've watched on the telly and have seen others call those matches. Is there anybody out there right now that we're in this bye week, that you're sitting there going, whoa, they got some problems that they've really got to address either with personnel or with what have you? Who right now would be your red light or red lights here in the bye week?
The biggest one that stands out to me is Orlando City, probably because I also have them in a few weeks. So I'm not prepping for them quite yet, but they've obviously been on my mind in general because I know I'm going to be going there. They play Houston, who I've had multiple times. So I haven't dove into the tactics of Orlando City, but I think from a cultural perspective as well, with getting rid of Oscar Pereira, and then they're not seeing really the turnaround that a lot of times you see right away when there's a decision made and a manager leaves. You usually see this little bit of like a resurgence, and then it kind of all evens out as to what the reality of the team is going to be. And we haven't seen that. That's concerning for me because normally you do see that little pick me up when things are happening. So I'm very interested to see, can Orlando City figure it out? And what do they look like going forward? Like, who are they going to be? So just culturally and mentality wise, I think they're in a very precarious position right now.
Yeah, and we've had some of our folks in, and we have one of our bullpen who works in television down there, Mike Gramajo out of Channel 2 in Orlando. And we were trying to figure out the whole Oscar Pareja thing, where if you didn't like how they faded last year, which seems to be, how
Right.
Orlando, it's like Orlando at times under Oscar Pareja, they would get to a point to where they were safe, and then they would kind of just coast their way through the remainder of the season, go into the playoffs, and then whatever happens, happens. Last year, you got to a point, and then it was just almost off a cliff, and you kind of wondered, okay, are you keeping him or are you not? Then you keep him, then you bring in the 3 U22s that are all from Brazil, one at forward, one at midfield, one at defense. Then you have Griffin Dorsey coming in, and then after getting blown out by NYC at the 106-68, where Max Crepeau touched the ball outside the 14, and that's probably where it was. Realistically, it was outside the 14 instead of the 18 in the Bronx. Then you wonder, it's like, okay, then you dismiss him. Then you're like, okay, well, if you were that disappointed at the end of last year, but yet you stuck with him, and then you didn't invest to the level that there's a lot of literally, it's almost like the HAL 9000 for me in 2001 Space Odyssey. You're getting conflicting orders about how Orlando is functioning. And then 3 matches into a season, you're kind of like, okay, this is untenable. And then now we're just going to have Martin Perelman be there for the remainder of the season. And we've got Antoine Griezmann coming in after the World Cup break into a situation that I'm like, okay, there's a lot of building you might have to be a part of here. I hope you're a really patient dude. I mean, Orlando City to me and the purple team, that they're like question mark bubbles over my head right now.
100%. I think it's like, who are they and what do they want, and how is that going to be solved? And it's so interesting for me to say, and it sounds like you agree that they're in the, they're this red zone team and club because they did just sign Griezmann, which is exciting. It's wonderful for the league. It's wonderful for Orlando City, but it's not till July. So there's a lot that needs to be done before then. And you're right. I do believe like the first half versus Inter Miami, and I hate to go back that far, but like I was excited about Orlando City. I was like, okay, they look good. Like they're moving the ball. They look like they can score, the efficiency, like they look comfortable in the final third. Obviously, they got messied in the second half and all the other things that went on. There's more to it than that, but I'm going to just say they got messied. So for me, then they go to NYC. That was a bit of an unfair thing to watch too, because a red card happened so early. So yes, it fell apart more than it probably should in that moment, because you have to find a defensive structure that works. But the reality is we've all been there, like with red cards and things that kind of go wrong in one game. So I don't know. I'll be interested to see how they respond this next 4 to 6 weeks and how they go into the World Cup break.
Okay. Yellow card, and this can be either trending from red toward green or trending from green toward red here in the first handful of matches. Does anyone fit in your yellow into your yellow light where, okay, it's like we know that the red is coming or the green is coming in the intersection, and it's like we've got to speed through so we can stay green or whatever. Who would be your yellow light right now?
Or we don't know which way they're going to go.
Yeah.
Houston Dynamo for me.
Okay.
I've had them for 2 games, and I really think there are positive things about what the Houston Dynamo are doing from an attacking standpoint.
Mm-hmm.
I think that they're exciting to watch. They're industrious. They really reflect Ben Olsen's personality in a lot of ways from a defensive structure standpoint, work great, but they've got some really nice attacking pieces. So then they go and play Dallas, and they have a bit of a shootout, and you don't know which way it's going to go, but FC Dallas has had a good start to 2026. So for me, the Houston Dynamo is a bit of an unknown thing right now because they've figured out how to get some dramatic late wins. They've figured out how to get some comebacks early in the season, and they've lost a tight game versus a team that's playing quite well. So you kind of wonder, are they going to hover in that like yellow zone, or are they going to push on, or are they going to tail off? That's the unknown for me, but I believe there's been some positives in 2026 from them.
Yep, and Guilherme just leaps off the page, but sustainability, I think, for Guilherme to continue with the chemistry that he's developed early, he's developed into somebody that you really have to spot shadow and sit there and go, yeah, we got to keep an eye on this dude.
Yes, definitely. And he's putting in the work off the ball as well. And I know that was something that wasn't necessarily demanded of him previously at other clubs or as much. And he's doing both sides of the ball. And I think you're seeing the competitive nature of what he can do, not only the attacking flair that we expect out of him, but he's scoring headers as well. I really think the way Houston can go is how Bogusz goes too. Like, I think they need that other attacking personality, and he's grown with every game. And then he got that dramatic late winner that was important for them against Portland. So the more they get their attacking players going, and then I'm just a Jack McGlynn fan. I think he pulls all the strings for them, and they still have a few injuries and players that are out that would be in that lineup. So they could trend upwards. I'm interested to see what happens.
All right, green light. Who is crushing it so far? Is there a surprise in the green light category, or has it pretty much just been chalk for you with, yeah, okay, figured that these folks were going to be there so far?
Well, the biggest surprise green light, I think, is San Jose for everyone. Is like they didn't expect them to be trending like so high in the season, being one of those teams that at one point was undefeated, this and that. So I think that they're definitely the surprise of the group, and potentially, and I'm obviously speaking mostly from what I've experienced so far this year from my vantage point, and potentially a Real Salt Lake as well, as with the young roster, how they've come out of the gate. And I'm not saying they're the top two teams by any means. You know, you got LAFC who's crushing it, but I don't think that's a surprise to anyone. So I'm going more like, did we not think was going to be like in the green light district, you know? And I think those two are doing super well so far in 2026.
Yeah, Real Salt Lake with the youngins, especially in the right-hand side, having to deal with all of those injuries. You didn't have Yedlin, you didn't have Anelli, you didn't have Diego Luna for points. And then you have folks like Xavier Gozo on the right-hand side. You have literally, I think it was early in the season, you had 5 players that had started 21 or younger on that roster for Pablo Mastroeni, and you're finding out just how dangerous the development has been in the RSL Academy, having folks like Gozo working on the right-hand side. So, no, I'm right there with you. If you're sleeping on RSL, that's on you. Right.
I completely agree, and I'm really excited to go there and see it in person in 2 weeks from now, or oh God, it's not even 2 weeks, it's 8 days or something, and go watch them in person, see what they can do, because it is going to be about consistency. And for San Jose, one of the things, everyone was like, how are they going to replace all the goal scoring? And can they stop leaking goals from 2025? And they've shown that they can, but athletic and direct. And I think that they just look incredibly well. I think while they may not stay in the top few, I do think they're going to stay in the green light and continue to perform.
Okay, we're going to change the conversation to NWSL, but of course we have to start here because this happened while you and I were talking. Kat Macario officially official to San Diego. And the deal is they announced the signing, came out on the Twitters. So she is returning, and the contract goes through 2030, and they have activated, they meaning the Wave, because my mother would I'd be driving my mom crazy if I didn't attach a pronoun to a particular noun. The Wave have activated the HIP rule for this particular signing, and that allows clubs to spend up to $1 million above the salary cap on those who qualify to acquire Macario from Chelsea. And obviously she was uncertain about her future. San Diego was like, come home. Kat Macario is like, where do I sign? And so Kat Macario official into San Diego through the 2030 season. Big signing for San Diego. We kind of figured it was heading this way, but it's now officially official.
This is great. I love seeing that it's official. One, just having a top U.S. international back in the NWSL is great for the league. So that's one thing that I think has to be noted. If you dive more specifically into what the San Diego Wave need, yes, they've had a good start to 2026, But what they were lacking in 2025 was really a true 9, a true goal scorer. They had all the possession. They were extremely exciting. They generated lots of opportunities, but they just didn't have that goal scorer right in front of goal. That's Kat Macario. And she does more than that, but she also can do that. And so I think this is huge for the league, but even more so shows that the San Diego Wave may be true contenders in the NWSL this year.
Midweek, it's the middle of a 3 matches in 7 or 8 day period for the NWSL. San Diego in the midweek knocked off Portland by the score of 3-1 at the Murph Dragon. Where were you in the midweek?
I had Washington Spirit versus Utah Royals on Wednesday.
Okay, and so if I had told you going in that Utah would go on the road to the land of the beer snake and the plastic cups in the end zone and end up with a 1-1 draw, if I told you before that match started Utah would give you a 1-1 draw, what would you have told me?
With knowing what their roster was going to look like and how depleted it was, I did not think it was going to be likely. Okay. If they had a full roster, I have the utmost confidence in Jimmy Coonrats. Like, I have so much respect for him as a coach, how he manages and his tactics, that I do think he understands how to approach games on the road. However, they were missing Miyabi, Tanaka, who could only give a certain amount of minutes, and they came in late in the game and made a difference. They're missing Tatum Milazzo, who was on a red card from the previous week, who's been a really pivotal defender for them. And the attacking threats of the Washington Spirit are just like coming at you from everywhere. Like, you're like, let me stop this. Nope. And it's everywhere. So I always worry when teams play the Spirit because I'm like, it could come from any direction. So this was a big point for Utah. It probably doesn't necessarily seem like that because it's so early in the season, but I think it's hard to get points on the road versus the Spirit.
So, yeah, just so folks know, the starting 11's in this one, and you can kind of figure out, okay, so guess which one was Utah and guess which one was Washington. So, for Team A, McIver in net, back 4, Wiesner, Rudd, Morgan, and DiGuglielmo. That's a mouthful.
It is.
Bernal and Hal Hirschfeld, the 2 in front of them. Someone named Rodman. Abiodun and Kawasi behind Cantore. Then Team B, Justice in net, left to right. Thompson, Del Fava, Real, and Simmons. Tejada and Pierre-Louis in front of that. 3 midfield, Lacoste, Delzer, and Mozingo, and Palacios, the point of the spear. So I think we can kind of figure out which one is Washington and which one is Utah in this discussion.
Definitely. And that says a lot for the character of Utah. But I will say this as well. The Washington Spirit were the better team across 90 minutes, 100%. Mia Justice, the goalkeeper for the Utah Royals, gave her team a chance. And I talk about this a lot. You want a goalkeeper that makes the saves they should make. But then if you're being dominated, you need them to just make like a spectacular save to keep you in the game. So you might have a chance to equalize. That's what Mia Justice did. And Mandy McGlynn's the normal starter, but she's been out injured. So this is a backup goalkeeper with a lot of youth international experience. I'll say that. That came in, didn't just make one, made 2 or 3 1v1 saves to keep Utah in this until they could get the subs in, until they could figure out how to deal with the attacking presence of the Spirit, but also the counter pressing and the repressing. They were suffocating, and Utah couldn't get out, and they eventually started to figure it out.
And, obviously with Utah, if you end up with, when you have Amina Tanaka on the bench, it can give you a cup of coffee and she scores in the 84th, that's going to make everything all good for you to get that 1 point. Courtesy of our friends at SofaScore, I wanted to get the Mia Justice numbers on the day. 5 total saves, 4 from inside the 18, 3 high claims on the match. Then you end up with 11 recoveries. She won 1 aerial duel, and then 57 touches, total carrying distance just under 88 meters. Total progression was about half that. So on 13 carries, she had total progression of about 44 meters total. And then when you look at, obviously, distribution, it was 28 of 40 passing, 4 passes in the opposition half, 24 of 29, obviously, at 83% in her own half. 7 long balls on the day as well, 7 of 18. Everybody's going to look at that and go, 7 of 18, 39%, but 7 long balls for Mia Justice as well. Highest rated player, courtesy of SofaScore, in that match, understandably so.
Definitely. She had a great performance. And I've known Mia since she was about 14, 15 years old. I coached her with the U.S. youth teams. And she has a great mentality, but she's a new pro. But as she gets more comfortable and she gets more game experience and she continues to grow, she has the mentality at the next level that I think a goalkeeper needs. She's competitive. She can organize. She's vocal. She just needs that game experience. And this put her right into the fire, this game. And I think she's got to come out of it feeling pretty good.
So where are you this weekend? Do you have a weekend off? And I start laughing at that.
I have nothing this weekend. No games.
Good for you.
What am I going to do with myself?
I think probably sleep late.
Yes.
I
need it. I need the weekend off.
Take someone out for long walks and try to get him as dirty as humanly possible. And then you have to clean it up on a lightly colored carpet, I'm fairly certain.
Probably. No, maybe a rug. I have, no carpet in my place. So I have to avoid that with having a dog. That's for sure.
Well, I'm glad that you've got a weekend to yourself to where you can just kind of kick your feet up and have like 19 games going on at the same time and just kind of watch what's going on before. So you're going to Rio Tinto next weekend?
Yes. So I'm actually coming to your neck of the woods in the middle of the week for an event with AFLAC where I'm speaking, which will be a lot of fun. And then I go to Rio Tinto. So this weekend it's all about watching as many games as possible: March Madness, football, soccer, obviously.
Yeah.
We don't have American football, but I just want to kind of kick back because I've got a busy week next week as well. But it's all positive stuff, and it's been great.
Okay, so then are you good for Tuesday, or are you in an airport, or are you at home, or what?
I should be good for Tuesday. I will be in a hotel, so we know how that goes sometimes. So I'll check out the internet situation and make sure I'm good to go. If we got to adapt, we'll adapt, but hopefully I'm back.
Get the high-powered internet, and we'll go from there. Good on getting to talk to folks and just tell the duck to be quiet while you're talking early next week when you're talking about things.
It's hard to keep him under control,
Do you get like the lightly colored blue blazer? Do you get the Tar Heel blue blazer? Do they give you one of those?
We'll see. I hope so. That would be great. I could use that today because women's basketball is playing against UConn, and I'm very nervous about that game. My mom's actually going. It's in Fort Worth, and I'm from Arlington, so she's actually going to the game. So she's going to be supporting the Tar Heels, but that could be a rough one. So we'll see what Gino can do against us.
Yeah, no doubt about it. As always, it's great to see you when we can catch up with you because we know that you're one of the busiest human beings on the planet. Enjoy your weekend by not being active. Just get in your Orange Theory, and we have sent out an email to Jamie, by the way, to see about getting him in.
Okay.
And then we'll try and coordinate and see if we can have a 2v1 odd person rush. And if you ever want to wake up Christian, we're not going to complain about that either.
Okay, I'll work on that as well. I do have my Orange Theory today, but yeah, we'll get Jamie in here.
All right, be good. Have a safe weekend. We'll catch up with you next week.
Sounds good. Bye-bye.
There goes Kacey D. And Kacey D, where'd she be? She'd be taking a weekend off. Good for her. One of the busiest folks on the planet. And it's great to catch up with Kacey and find out what's going on. And thanks for her for visiting on a Friday and letting everybody know what's going on. But yeah, Kat Macario, officially official. And it is very, very cool that Kat Macario signs with the NWSL. We kind of figured it was going to go that way, considering what had been said as she was having questions and thought bubbles about Chelsea. Reports were that she was going to be heading home. They were interested. And so now Kat Macario is hip. If she wasn't any more hip, she is now incredibly hip. And she is now in San Diego through the 2030 season, contracted through 2030. Joins for an undisclosed transfer fee, but will not be available for her new club immediately due to a foot injury. GM Camille Ashton put out a statement and signed with Chelsea in the summer of 23 from Lyon. Returning from an ACL injury at the time, didn't make her Chelsea debut until March of 24. Macario's deal with the WSL champs set to expire this summer. She had rejected their offer to extend the contract. 49 appearances, 12 goals in her time there. And so now she returns to the city she moved to with her family from Brazil when she was aged 12. And so the Wave leases their training space from San Diego Surf the youth club Macario played for, located just down the road from where she's going to attend practice. Statement from Macario, statement from Ashton. Ashton, since joining in June of 24, has brought in changes to the roster and staff of a team that was only 2 years old in the NWSL that had at one point Alex Morgan, Naomi Gierma, and Jaden Shaw among their prominent signings. Morgan is now a minority investor. Casey Stone, who is manager, is no longer. San Diego's personnel is different. So Jonas Eideval, hired in January of 25 following his departure from Arsenal. And then the team finished 25 at 10, 7, and 9, placing 6th. Recruited key international players, including a number of France national team players, Kenza Dali, Delphine Cascarino, who was there and now has left, Perla Moroni, and Lorena Fazer. And they've recruited Brazilians as well, signing 20-year-old Dudinha last summer, adding Ludmila and Gabby Portillo to the roster. So Macario, who's going to wear the 20, fluent in French and Portuguese. Saturday, the Wave get to host the formal welcome from Macario during the halftime of the match against the Chicago Stars. And so officially official, Kat Macario is now a part of things in San Diego with the Wave. So big news for the NWSL, and it's great to catch up with Kacey D, find out about what she's seen from the Wave and what she's seen from the NWSL. Kat Macario breaking. We get to talk to her about that. And seeing St. Louis City and Houston Dynamo. We got to play red light, yellow light, green light with her too. So, all right, let's get you ready for the weekend here. Final half hour of the week. And let's get you once again caught up with what happened yesterday. And if you were a fan of most of the Commonwealth, it was a long day. It was a long day for you. So you end up with now. I'm trying to sit here and see how it was in the World Cups yesterday. And I'm going to just look at it with the numbers and let you know who advances and all that kind of stuff. So once again, setting up for Tuesday, you had the World Cup matches yesterday. And like I said, it was a long day for fans of the Commonwealth. Late last night, Jamaica over New Caledonia, only 1-0. Great showing by New Caledonia, and Jamaica was obviously a prohibitive favorite at a minus 2,000, but New Caledonia acquitting themselves pretty well in that. So Jamaica moves on. Then it was, I need scores. Come on, people. It's like you sit there and you're looking for something, and it's like, no, I need the final scores. I know who won, but I want to know the scores. You're not going to give them to me, are you? Okay, fine. So we're going to go to this website, and we're going to get the scores from what happened yesterday. In Europe, it was a crazy day. Jamaica is now booking their date with DR Congo because of the international playoff tournament. Reggae Boys advancing to play DR Congo next week. And so the 12 teams that were fighting for spots, you end up with, after what happened yesterday, DR Congo gets Jamaica in Guadalajara. And so the winner advances to Group K: Colombia, Portugal, Uzbekistan, DR Congo, and Jamaica. That one is on the 31st. Obviously, we'll get you prepped for that one as we get closer. Jamaica, once again, missing out on automatic qualification in CONCACAF, finishing behind Curacao in Group B. Another victory gets Jamaica their second World Cup qualification, first since France of 1998. Group I: France, Norway, and Senegal. Iraq, their hopes are still alive. They take on Bolivia. They knocked off the UAE 3-2 on aggregate in the 5th round of AFC qualifying, aiming for their second World Cup participation, first since Mexico in '86. Bolivia beat Suriname in the playoff tournament final, targeting their 4th World Cup. And in that playoff tournament semi, Efren Morales, once again, it was great to see Efra shine. So Bolivia, they were down actually 1-0 in the 48th. Van Gelderen scored for Suriname, and then it took a Paniagua goal in the 72nd, and then you end up with a penalty from Miguel Terceros. Suriname had the 1-0 lead, 2 goals in 7 minutes for Bolivia in Monterrey, and they would advance. And Bolivia's dream once again returning to the World Cup for the first time since 1994, and that remains alive. So Terceros gets the second goal, and 2 goals in 7 minutes, and they continue to go forward there. So then in Europe, you're still looking at what is going on with those folks. European playoffs, Path A, winner advances to Group B, Canada, Qatar, and Switzerland. Italy takes on Bosnia and Herzegovina in Zenica, and that one is on the 31st of March. They knocked off Northern Ireland in their semifinal, meaning Italy. And so Italy moves on. Bosnia and Herzegovina knocked off Wales in the playoff semis, and so they will host the Azzurri. Bosnia and Herzegovina and Italy. Winner goes into Group A. Then you have Group F, Japan, Netherlands, Tunisia, and whom? Sweden knocked off the Ukraine, the 1958 runners-up. If they get one more win over Poland in Solna, they would qualify for a 13th World Cup. And Poland came from behind to defeat Albania in their semi, looking for a 10th World Cup appearance. Third place, 74 and 82. Third successive qualification. And it is Poland and Sweden in Solna on the 31st. Path C. Turkey and Kosovo. Winner advances in Group D to be paired up with Australia, Paraguay, and the United States. Turkey in a back and forth. Once again, remember, they finished third in Korea, Japan, 2002. Third appearance, if they knock off Kosovo, they beat Romania to get to this game. Kosovo and Slovakia was off the rails. It was absolutely off the rails. And so you had this game that had 29 goals in it. It was like 7, but you understand where I'm coming from. So Bosnia and Herzegovina and Czechia, you end up with Bosnia and Herzegovina winning in PKs 1-1 after 90 and 120. They go 4-2 in PKs. Italy over Northern Ireland 2-0. Tonali and Moise Kean scoring 24 minutes apart. Then you had Poland over Albania 2-1. Albania actually on a goal by Hosha just before the half had the lead. Then Lewandowski and Zelensky scoring 10 minutes apart there. Sweden over Ukraine 3-0. Ukraine scoring with Ponomarenko in the 90th. Gyökeres had the Hattie, 51st on a penalty in the 73rd. That one was in Valencia. And then you end up with Slovakia and Kosovo in Bratislava. So here was the game yesterday. This was the game, capital T, capital G, at least from the early session. So Slovakia scores in the 6th. Kosovo scores in the 21st. Slovakia scores in the 45th. Kosovo scores in the 47th. Kosovo scores in the 60th, the 72nd, and then Slovakia scores at 90 plus 4. Nuts. Lucas Haraslin's cross was met by Martin Valiant. First international goal by Slovakia, 6th minute. Kosovo responds. Veldin Hoxha scored in the 21st. Slovakia once again, Haraslin free kick. And that was where you were at 2-1. Fisnik Aslani, who is being looked at by a couple of teams in Europe for a transfer, gets a header. Florent Muslia gets a free kick, making it 3-2. Krejnik Hajrizi had a close-range finish, 2-goal cushion. Strelic and Slovakia got it to 4-3. Kosovo holds on. Kosovo hosting Turkey on Tuesday, and the winner of that one gets USA, Paraguay, and Australia in Group C. Turkey over Romania 1-0. And it was Ferdi Kadiolu scoring in the 53rd over Romania in the semifinal. Once again, fairly even first half. That was the first game of the day, and you got to watch that one on the FSs. And so Arda Güler found Kadiolu, tucked it through the legs of Ionut Radu, the Romanian keeper. So Turkey would advance 1-0. And so Path D, Czechia and the Republic of Ireland. Czechia goes 4-3 in penalty kicks. It was Parrott with a penalty in the 19th. Schick with a penalty in the 27th. Kovar had an OG in the 23rd, so literally Ireland was up 2-0. Czechia scores in the 27th. Krejci scores in the 86th. They go to PKs. Czechia wins 4-3. Ireland gets knocked out. Denmark over North Macedonia. And this game was goalless at the break, and you were figuring that North Macedonia was going to be who they were and just kind of turn it into a staring contest and have you do all the work. Second half, Denmark did all the work. Damsgaard, Isaacson, back-to-back goals within a minute. and then Eriksson scoring in the 75th, and then Christian Eriksson, 15 to go. Denmark over North Macedonia by the score of 4-0. So that's your rundown there with Path D and what it's looking like there with Bosnia and all of the winners yesterday. And like I said, it was a rough day if you were a fan of the Commonwealth. So that's where we are for the 31st. And then we get to figure out everybody, teams 42 through 48. So by April 1st, we will know the entire field, and then they'll figure out where they're going to stay and what they're going to do and who they're going to hang out with. And Del shocked being that Kosovo won. And, yeah, it was crazy. Game itself was just nuts. And so it was one of those that you're sitting there and you're going, man, how did this happen? Iraq, Bolivia, DR Congo, and Jamaica. That's your final in the Intercontinental Promotional Final 6. Jamaica only winning 1-0. Bolivia winning 2-1 over Suriname. Let me get Efren Morales' numbers, because Efra was playing out of a position that we're not necessarily used to. And he put in yeoman's work yesterday. And if he was not the highest rated player according to SofaScore in the matchup against Suriname, I'm sure that he was pretty close to the top of the whole thing. So it was, where is he? Where is Efra? Let me see. Efren Morales. Okay, so Efra, short of Vaca, tied for the second highest number in SofaScore at 7.6. Played the full 90, had one of his was left center back. So for Efra, 15 defensive contributions, 3 tackles, 10 clears, 1 block, 2 recoveries, 12 of 17 on his duels, 5 of 8 on the ground, 7 and 9 in the air. Had 1 foul called on him, and 2 times he was dribbled past. Offensively for Efra, 81 touches for a left center back. 1 for 1 on the dribble. Total carrying distance, 205 meters, 22 carries, had 1 progressive carry. Total progression, 74 meters. Progressive carrying distance on his day was 21 meters. Longest progressive carry was 20 and a half. So that progressive carry, 20 and a half meters, jumping out of the back. Passing for Efra on the afternoon, 54 of 60 from a left center back point. 24 of 27 in the opposition half, 30 of 33 in his own, even had a long ball on the evening. And then the shooting numbers for Efra, just had the 1 total shot. He had the 1, and it was blocked on the afternoon. But Efra had a 7.6, just behind Vaca, and he was tied with Miguelito. Ramiro Vaca had a 7.7, courtesy of SofaScore ratings. Miguelito had a 7.6. Efren Morales had a 7.6. So when your left center back had a 7.6, that's a good day. So that was a big win for Bolivia. They are 1 step closer to getting into the World Cup. They have to knock off Iraq for one of the 2 available slots from the Intercontinental. DR Congo and Jamaica are in the other. Okay, now let's get you gossip, rumor, and innuendo, what to watch, where to watch it, how to watch it, anything else before we get out of here. And it's going to be a busy weekend. Later today, we are at the Brew House, and we're going to be there. It's kind of like your lead-in for those of you that might be heading to the Eastern for Men and Blazers. And we're going to be 5 to 6:30, and probably dinner after. So after we go off the air, we'll be hanging out with everybody and saying hi. We'll be there on Friday. We'll be there today. We'll be there on Monday also. It'll be earlier. I think we're 7 to 8:30, I think, on Monday, coming out of match number 1, heading into match number 2 here for the weekend. And it'll be really, really interesting to see how the team responds today, meaning the men's national team, and they get ready for the second go-round on Tuesday. Couple of pieces of news. Casemiro says his Manchester decision's made and done. Lionel Scaloni has said that Messi is undecided on playing in the 26 World Cup. Has yet to decide if he's going to play. 81 days to go before their first match. Adriano Garcia at the 4-letter. Scaloni, when he was asked if he'll play in the tournament, Scaloni says that's a question more for him. As far as I'm concerned, you already know where I stand. I'll do everything I can to make sure he's there. I believe that for the sake of football, he has to be there. It's not me who decides. It's up to him. His state of mind, his physical condition is difficult because it's not just the Argentinians that want to see him. Everybody wants to see him. I want him to be there. It's up to him to decide. He's earned the right to make that decision with peace of mind. We're in no rush about it. We know whatever he decides will be best for the team and for him. We hope he'll be there. Scaloni did confirm Messi will feature against Mauritania later today and Zambia on the 31st in this international window, both friendly staged at La Bombonera. And Scaloni said Messi will play in both. We'll see if he will do so from the start. Argentina had been due to play Spain in the Finalissima on today in Qatar, but obviously the game was canceled because of what's going on in the Middle East. One of 16 World Cup winners included on the 30-man squad. Tomas Palacios, Gabriel Rojas, Benfica winger Gianluca Prestiani, also on the roster this time around. Argentina begins their defense June 16th against Algeria before facing Austria and Jordan in Group J. Now, let's get you into the gossip, the rumor, and the innuendo. Did you see, by the way, that Bristol City, they're hurting. They are really hurting in the EFL, and they are trying basically to stay in the second division. No, I'm not new to the EFL. I'm continuing to the site. I know what I'm staring at. So in the championship right now, Bristol City, they're freaking out. To be honest, right now, they should be fine. But they have had a miserable run of form. They've lost 4 of 5, and they are in 16th in the table. But they're still freaking out with 7 matches to go. 7 matches to go, and they are how many points clear? And they freaked out. They really did freak out because they got rid of Gerhard Struber, and what they decided to do was bring in Roy Hodgson for the stretch run. Bristol City's at Charlton, by the way, next Saturday. They're a bit of a dog in that one against the Addicts. But you have to be in the bottom 3 to go to League One. And right now you've got 5 teams separated by 4 points for 2 of the 3 relegation spots. Sheffield Wednesday, in February, they were relegated. They've won once in 39. They've scored 24 goals. They've given up 79, so they, on average, give up about 2 goals a match. But right now, the relegation fight is Oxford United, who had won 3 in a row to get closer to safety. They're 23rd. They're next to last. Right now, they're in the relegation zone. They're behind Leicester City, who has the 6-point deduction from the Federation for violations of profit and sustainability. Leicester's ahead by 6 goals in goal difference. Right now, it would be Leicester and Oxford United. But Portsmouth is at 40 points. They've lost 3 in a row, 4 of 5. West Brom, George Campbell, remember him. They are at 43 points. They've won 2 in a row, so they're 4 points from safety. And they are 1 goal behind Blackburn, who has hit each column once in their last 3 to get to where they are right now. Bristol City is in 16th place. They are 12 points clear. But what they decided to do is freak out. And so they bring back Roy Hodgson at the age of 78, interim head coach. Remember, he left Crystal Palace back in February of 2024. Hodgson taking charge till the end of the season as Gerhard Struber was dismissed. April the 3rd, 44 years after his last match in charge, returns to the side he managed for 4 months back in 1982. Managerial change, poor run of form since mid-February, 12 points shy of 6th, 11-point cushion from the relegation zone, 7 matches to go. So, Bristol City, Roy Hodgson, 7 matches. We need you to the end of the year. The age of 78, he's back at it. So we'll see what happens with that. Once again, they were safe. They're fairly safe. I mean, you're up 11 points from safety, and you're right smack dab in the middle between 6th and relegation. You're right there. But you freaked out because of a run of form. You bring back Roy Hodgson for the final 7 matches of the year. Transfer news, just so you've got it. Phil Foden ready to leave the club this summer, according to Football Insider. Frustrated by his limited playing time, and if an agreement over a new contract isn't reached in the next months, he's going to look to move to Europe. Foden has been named on the bench by Pep Guardiola 4 of his last 5 across all comps. Atletico de Madrid preparing to ward off interest in Julian Alvarez from Arsenal and Barcelona, offering him a new deal, according to Marca. They are believed to be readying a €10 million per season proposal that would place the 26-year-old on the highest salary at the club, with plans to make him their flagship player and successor to Griezmann. Got the attention of both Arsenal and Barca following impressive form in the current campaign. Said there's optimism among the Wander Metropolitano hierarchy that they'll sign an extension. Chelsea interested in AC Milan defender Strahinja Pavlovic, according to Corriere dello Sport. Reported to have already made contact with his reps, now monitoring the situation at the San Siro. Expected to offer worth at least €40 million, requiring to get a deal over the line. Milan seeing him as a key figure in their squad. Pavlovic has scored 4 goals in 26 matches, starting regularly for Serbia. Manchester United lining up a move at the end of the season for Newcastle midfielder Sandro Tonali, according to the 4-letter paper. Reported to be made United's priority option amid plans to strengthen the midfield. Bruno Fernandes has also provided his approval of the proposed addition. 47 appearances all comps this year, previously linked to Arsenal and Man City. Barcelona left-back Alejandro Balda on the radar of Manchester City, United, and Villa. Mundo Deportivo reporting all 3 Premier League clubs have made inquiries regarding a potential deal for the 22-year-old, and he wants to stay put at Barca. They could be willing to consider a move if they get a substantial, in quotations, offer. Contracted at Camp Nou until the summer of 28. Seen as Barca's first-choice starter on the left side of the defense. Lyon close to convincing Caroline Veer to leave Real Madrid as a free agent. League we don't talk about has resumed work on a deal for Mo Salah, Al Ittihad. Al Qadsiya, once again, the only other Saudi club with the finances and ambition to rival that. Casemiro, once again, Messi and friends, LAG, Al Ittihad, interested in signing on a free next season. Barcelona considering an attacking shakeup once again, listening to offers for Ferran Torres and the arrival of 2 new forwards. Barcelona looking at Osasuna winger Victor Munoz. Deal could be difficult due to Real Madrid holding 50% of the playing rights on his deal that could include a buyback clause. Mundo Deportivo. Real Madrid also continuing to monitor Liverpool's Ibrahima Konate. That's from AS. Mirror Manchester United remain interested in Elliot Anderson from Forest. 4-letter paper. PSG winger Kavichka Kvaratskhelia has no interest in leaving amid links to Arsenal. Team talk Chelsea, Newcastle, Brighton battling to win the race to sign Cologne forward Said Al-Mala. Express Arsenal defender Miles Lewis-Skelly's on the radar of United. Liverpool could sign 2 wingers, according to our friend Ben Jacobs. We're going to try to track him down while he's here in this part of the world and have him available early part of next week. Liverpool could sign 2 wingers, looking to land a player for the left flank, finding a Salah successor, Jan Diomande at Leipzig, under consideration. Rudy Galletti is saying Premier League clubs and Bundesliga clubs keeping an eye on Augsburg defender Noah Kai Banks. Gazzetta dello Sport, Inter Milan remain keen on Roma midfielder Manu Kone. Liverpool, among multiple Premier League clubs interested in Sunderland defender Lucharel Geertruida. That's from Team Talk. And Everton manager David Moyes keen to sign West Ham midfielder Thomas Souček. That's from Football Insider. So that's your gossip, rumor, and innuendo on the weekend. Now, what to watch, where to watch it, and how to watch it from our friends at Fanatis at fntz.co/soccer down here. That link is important. Helps you out, helps us out, and helps them out. Adding more matches to everything you're already watching. You get all the BNs. So that means you get AFCON, you get CAF, you get CAF Champions League, you get the French League, the Polish League, and the Turkish League. You get links to Tigo Sports. You get links to CATV. And you get a lot of the action in South America. Liga 1 Max Pro from Peru, A and B divisions in a handful of other countries. TSA out of Argentina, so that means you get Libertadores Sudamericana, you get the LPF, the Argentina League, and you get that all in one place at one subscription, one home. Fanatis at fntz.co/soccer down here. You get CDO, you get Nuestra Tele. You end up with TVV if you want to get Venezuelan television added That's an add-on at Fanatis, but I will tell you that if you have a certain cable system, that you can get the Spanish-speaking package, and you can get TVV as a part of it. And so you've got all of that that's attached to you. Now, what to watch, where to watch it, how to watch it, and where you go to pick it all up. There's a lot. Trust me. So here we go. Strap in. Friendlies on FS1, one coming up in 5 minutes. Azerbaijan and St. Lucia. Austria, Ghana, England, and Uruguay. Fox Deportes has Algeria, Guatemala at 3:30. The Plus has USL League One. 2 matches available at 7 o'clock. Knoxville, Richmond, Charlotte, and Spokane. FIFA Plus has 8 friendlies available. 2 are left on the board. A lot of them started like at 2 a.m. Estonia, Kenya at noon. Rwanda, Grenada's at 3. Fox ONE has 4 of those friendlies. Fox Soccer Plus has 3 of them. Veeks has 3 friendlies themselves. MLS has a Generation Adidas Cup at noon and 2:30 on their YouTube channel. Chicago Fire, Barcelona U15s, Portland Timbers, and Red Bull Bragantino in the U16s. Tonight, Amazon Prime, Angel City in Houston at 10 o'clock. A-League is late tonight. 1 match played this morning. Adelaide, Newcastle, very late tonight. Sydney, Melbourne in the overnight. Paramount Plus, you have AFC Champions League. Tokyo Verdy, Beleza, and Stallion Laguna. It's at 1 o'clock. That's your Friday. Tomorrow, just to give you what is available leagues-wise and when the times are. We'll get you through Saturday to get you into Sunday. Golazo Network, USL Championship, a doubleheader at 3 and 7:30. ESPN Deportes, Spanish Segundas at 12:30. The Plus also has Spanish Segunda with 2 other matches at 4 o'clock. ESPN Plus, 9 matches USL Championship, 5 matches USL League One throughout the day. Check your local listings. Fox Deportes, 2 international friendlies. Fox ONE has 4 friendlies, including San Marino and the Faroe Islands at 10 o'clock tomorrow morning. May the world stop and rotate and watch that one as the center of our universe. Fox Soccer Plus has the same friendly, and they also got Scotland, Japan at 1 o'clock. International friendly with the U.S. and Belgium at 3:30 on HBO Max and a handful of other places. MLSNextPro.com and One Football, 4 matches in MLS Next Pro. Core, Messi and Friends 2. Sporting Kansas City 2, St. Louis City 2, both at 3 o'clock. Chattanooga FC and Crew 2, and Whitecaps 2 and LAFC 2. Those are at 7 o'clock. Paramount Plus League 1, Stockport County and AFC Wimbledon at 11. English League 2, 3 games, 1 available at 8:30, 2 available at 11. One of those includes the Carpetbaggers that we don't mention by name. Peacock has the USA and Belgium friendly at 3:30. 3 from the Gainbridge Super League at Peacock, 1, 7, and 7:30. 2 matches USL Championship at 3 and 7:30. Telemundo, TNT, simulcasting USA and Belgium. 2 to NA has Mexico and Portugal at 9 o'clock tomorrow, plus Detroit and Charleston from USL Championship. Universo is simulcasting the USA-Belgium friendly at 3:30, and the international friendly from Mexico and Portugal is on Univision, and that is at 9 o'clock. Sunday, NWSL's on CBS, NWSL's on ESPN2, NWSL is on ION, ESPN Deportes has Women's Super League in the morning, the Zone German Frauen Bundesliga at noon, ESPN Plus A-League and English Women's Super League, NWSL Plus has a match at 7, Paramount Plus has NWSL at 4. Peacock, USL Super League, 3 matches throughout the day. Victory Plus has NWSL going on there. Sunday, I thought that was that just all Saturday? Yeah, it's Saturday. Oh, sorry, that's Saturday on the women's side. Sunday, Golazo is USL Championship. La Liga 2 on ESPN Plus. League 1 on ESPN Plus. Fox ONE has a friendly, same one, simulcast on Fox Soccer Plus. Tacoma Defiance, Ventura County, late night Sunday on MLSNextPro.com and One Football. USL Championship, Paramount Plus. Colombia, France on Telemundo. Atlas Guadalajara and Chivas is on 2 to NA, simulcast on Unimas. Universo has the Colombia, France friendly. Women's side, ESPN Deportes, Chelsea and Aston Villa in the morning. DAZN USA has German Frauen Bundesliga and Copa Italia Femenil. ESPN Plus has Women's Super League. Paramount Plus has AFC Champions League. Wuhan Jiangda and Suwon Facilities Management Corp. 7 o'clock on Sunday morning. Yikes. It's a lot. But we wouldn't have it any other way. Checking the papers really quickly before we get out of here and let you know what else is going on. And so now, we mentioned the situation at Spurs. If it gets completely and totally out of control, when you have multiple correspondents reporting on a story, you know that's not good. Sam Wallace, Matt Law at The Telegraph. Spurs are considering an SOS call to Sean Dyche, considering turning to him to rescue the club from relegation if Roberto De Zerbi to continue to insist he'll only take the job at the end of the year. Before Spurs play their next Premier League match against Sunderland April 12, they could be in the relegation zone with 7 to play, depending on West Ham's result against Wolves 2 days before. The decision on Tudor's future is expected by Monday. Situation has been made more delicate by the death of his father and the funeral this week. De Zerbi, as reported by the Telegraph, first choice of the club's ownership, left Marseille last month, has been reluctant to take the job immediately with the club in a relegation crisis. He would consider doing so in the summer with the club back in the Premier League. So the pressing issues, taking over a squad that's got a lot of injuries, trying to avoid relegation. And that's why they might be turning to Sean Dyche. So keep an eye on that. Once again, that one's probably going to end up being more of a Monday decision. So we'll keep an eye out for the Spurs situation coming up early part of next week as they get ready for their next go-round there. So you have also on the board, it looks like, according to The Guardian, Everton might be offering David Moyes a new deal in recognition of his success at the club. So we'll keep an eye on that. The number that is now reported by The Guardian on the Cat Macario transfer, 5-year deal for San Diego Wave, $8 million. $8 million 5-year deal, San Diego. This is from Jeff Reuter at The Guardian. So early enough on social media, no number was reported. Reuter is reporting an $8 million deal running through 2030. Sportico had first reported that the Wave were nearing the acquisition last week. Transfer fee of about $300,000 according to the 4 letters. So $300,000 on the transfer fee, 5-year deal, $8 million. So that gives you 1.6 a year in the aggregate for Cat Macario. And San Diego, once again, turning Macario into hip. So Cat Macario is now hip in San Diego. $8 million deal for the remainder of the contract through 2030. Transfer fee of about $300,000. So Jonas Eidevall's side had a lot of opportunities passing into the heart of the box. San Diego led all NWSL teams last season with a 59.5% rate of possession, more than 6% higher than any other side. Second this year at 61%. And so we mentioned how things were retooled, but once again, second possession, and you now bring in Cat Macario for an $8 million deal running through 2030 with a transfer fee of $300,000. So keep an eye on that also going forward. That's going to be interesting, but once again, probably not going to be playing for another little bit, but she is going to be announced this weekend, and we will see how that rolls out. But really looking forward to having Cat Macario as a part of the discussion and laying everything out for San Diego's marker now. So we saw what Washington did in signing Trinity Rodman. We see what San Diego is now doing in bringing in Cat Macario. Trying to check the papers really quickly and see if I have missed anything before we're out the door. Luis Enrique is going to reject the chance to take over at Manchester United, according to reports in the I paper, set to extend his deal with the European and French champs beyond his current contract, which expires in 2027. United's interest in Enrique understood to come from Chief Executive Omar Barada, Director of Football Jason Wilcox. Ineos owners believed to be more keen on appointing Michael Carrick, at least on a short-term basis. And Carrick has now once again guided United to being third. And that's what makes more sense, at least to me, is Michael Carrick. And so we'll find out what the latest is. But Luis Enrique set to spurn United going forward. Then we'll see what happens there. Blackburn signing Nathan Redmond to a short-term deal. Free transfer, obviously, leaving after Sheffield Wednesday in January. 3 months with them, and you now end up with him signing elsewhere. So Everton, according to The Guardian, returned last January, 2.5-year deal. Currently sitting 8, 3 points off the top 5, which probably is going to get you into Champions League qualification, if not get you into either Europa or Conference League. Moyes was initially seen on as a short-term appointment by Everton's owners, the Friedkin Group, now convinced he's the right man to take them forward in the longer term and want to extend his deal. Report in The Guardian says formal talks will not take place till the end of the year. Confidence that Moyes is ready to extend in his second spell. Greater say over recruitment. Recognition at the club he's better at working with more experienced players rather than youngsters. Bayern Munich chief Uli Hoeneß has ruled out a summer move for Michael Olise to join Liverpool, as he apparently has mocked their recent spending spree. Took aim at Arne Slot's £450 million summer spending spree, getting to 5th in the table, 5 points outside the top 4. And asked about Olise to Liverpool, Hoeneß responds, quote, "Is that true? I don't think it is." Anyway, Liverpool spent €500 million this year, having a poor season, so we will not contribute to them playing better next year. We play this game for our fans. We have 430,000 members, many millions of fans around the world, and it doesn't help them if we have €200 million in the bank but play worse football every Saturday. Olise joined Bayern in the summer of 24 from Palace in a £50.8 million deal on a 5-year deal. 16 goals, 27 assists across all comps this season. And so once again, we mentioned Casemiro speaking after playing in Brazil's 2-1 defeat by France. Reports from The Athletic, "I'm still enjoying it a lot in Manchester. It is huge, the affection the fans have shown towards me, but I do really believe decision is made and done. I believe it will be some difficult moments, these final games at Manchester United." So you have that going on. So also Spurs women's boss, Martin Ho, has committed his long-term future new deal, appointed last summer. And so that is now official on social media as well. So he is staying for a lot longer than originally anticipated. So also we mentioned as we go through the other papers, we mentioned Tonali. According to the Shields Gazette, Tonali expects to be able to leave Newcastle if the club do not qualify for Europe. Nottingham Forest are considering launching a formal complaint to the Premier League over the punishment given out to Chelsea over undisclosed payments. And that comes to our friends at The Athletic. So let's get into Evangelinos Marinakis being mad about the payments and such. And so let me see if we can find that particular article. There's Tonali. There's the day. So Mbappe's magic against Brazil. Was this morning or was this yesterday? Okay. Okay. So trying to find the article involving Newcastle and such. Adam Kraft and Matt Slater discovered train tickets to the matches in Foxborough this summer going to quadruple in price, up 50% for the clash between France and Brazil yesterday. PSG getting a free weekend. The matchup with Lens is postponed. Nottingham Forest considering the formal complaint over the punishment meted out to Chelsea by the Premier League for undisclosed payments to agents and third parties. Forest think the sanction is too lenient. And according to Phil Taylor, probably not alone. I need to log in, people. I'm not starting a free trial for something that I already have a membership to. So we're going to do it this way. So fine. Nothing like having a computer update and sit there and it's like, well, no. And I'm like, well, yes. So let's see. So coming in this morning, where is it? And we got to get into Senegal before we get out of here. That's another thing that we've got to discuss. I don't want managers on the rise. Okay, here we go. So Chelsea fined £10.75 million, also handed a suspended transfer ban last week after reporting that £47.5 million of hidden payments to agents and players were made over a 7-year period. Paul Taylor at The Athletic. Many within football regarded the punishment as being lenient. Forest were given a 4-point penalty that they received for breaching PSR in March of 24 at a time when they were fighting relegation. The hierarchy at City Ground still mulling over what their next steps will be. Forest sanctions surrounded the sale of Brennan Johnson, seeing him move to Spurs deadline day of 23. 2 months after the June 30 cutoff point for PSR assessment. Forest will allow permissible losses of 61 million pounds as a promoted club, found to have exceeded that threshold for a 3-year period by 34.5 million pounds. Had Forest sold Johnson before June 30, might have kept him on the right side of the losses. They would have had to sell him for less money, though. At the time, Forest felt the situation could have been regarded as a near miss during a campaign that saw them spend 142.8 million pounds on 19 new signings following promotion from the championship. Bowley Clear Lake reported the situation to the Premier League themselves. Chelsea made 36 undisclosed payments between 2011 and 2018, which assisted in them signing David Luiz Willian and Eden Hazard, among others. Situation unearthed during negotiations of the sale of the club. Chelsea won 2 Premier League titles, 6 other trophies during Abramovich's time period when those payments were made. Everton were docked 8 points for 2 separate breaches of PSR during 23 and 24. So Nottingham Forest trying to figure out what to do. Senegal. We have to discuss this. Senegal is going to present the AFCON trophy at a Paris friendly to themselves. Jessica Hopkins, Tomas Hill Lopez Menchero. They're going to present the AFCON trophy before their friendly against Peru tomorrow. At a press conference in Paris on Thursday, a lawyer representing Senegal in their legal challenge against the decision said that Morocco had, quote, asked for the medals, the prize money, and the rewards be given to them, only for that request to be rejected by the appeals jury. Seydou Diagne also said the Senegalese Football Federation will file, quote, a corruption complaint against 5 individuals, though not against the Royal Moroccan Football Federation, which filed the original appeal with CAF to have the result of AFCON's final overturned. CAF has been approached for comment. The FMRF, the Royal Moroccan Football Federation, also declined to comment. Diagne, to reassure the supporters, fans, and those who believe in the right to justice and to the protection of sporting discipline, values of football, do not worry. There is no decision today from CAF or its appeals jury that orders the Senegalese Football Federation or the national team to return their medals or to return the trophy on the pitch. Those decisions do not exist, end quote. Senegal posted the schedule for their international friendly at the Stade de France, including a 15-minute, quote, official presentation of the trophy. They've already qualified for the World Cup in the summer. They're going to be in France, Norway, and a playoff teams group. Lawyer continued, quote, this decision cannot even be considered a true sporting justice ruling. It is so crude, so absurd, so irrational. Also present at the presser, SFSF President Abdoulaye Fall, who called his organization's pushback against the decision a, quote, moral and legal crusade, according to Reuters. He said, quote, it openly violates the laws of the game and the principle that refereeing decisions are final in the face of this administrative robbery. The FSF refuses fatality. Said at the time of the AFCON final resort overturn that, quote, it welcomes a ruling that the Moroccan Federation said at the time of the AFCON final result overturn that it, quote, welcomes a ruling that upholds respect for rules that are necessary for the proper functioning of international competition, end quote. And so Senegal is basically telling Morocco, come and get it. We're going to do this 15-minute presentation here in France. And tell you what, if AFCON wants it, if Morocco wants it, then come and get it. So instead of discussing the tournament once again, we're discussing this. And this is what this particular tournament will be remembered for, not the tournament on the whole that we talked about every day there were matches, but for the aftermath. For the aftermath. Yikes, people. So keep an eye on that and that ceremony, because I think that one's going to be interesting. 15-minute presentation. The Senegalese are going to enjoy themselves in their 15-minute presentation. But Morocco wants it. Senegal has said, come and get it, basically to AFCON and to the CAF. You want it, come and get it. So we'll see what happens there. One more note from the 4-letter paper. According to an article there, the EFL is broken. Clubs in the championship on track to lose an average of 15 million pounds a season, and those across the competition set to post annual losses of more than 600 million pounds. We've talked about it in the past about where the folks that were in the Premier League themselves are trying to spend that much more to try to get back into the Premier League, and you end up with getting what you end up getting. You get teams that are trying to find their way up, teams that are trying to figure out themselves. You end up with situations like you saw at Sheffield Wednesday. We'll keep an eye on that. That's another go-round of the week here on SDH AM. Once again, remember, this afternoon, early tonight, your predecessor, your lead-in, the Men in Blazers, will be at the Brew House. I think we're 5 to 6:30. Come by, say hi, eat, drink, be merry, have fun. Then we've got the matchup tomorrow involving the United States and Belgium 3 days before the matchup with Portugal. Obviously, we'll have full coverage there. Jason has a very special AST, keeping the ear out for how that's going to air 92.9 The Game in the Odyssey app. Maddie, Sophia, and I will be at Mercedes-Benz for the reports on the game. We'll have all of your reports available after, all the audio, written word, soccerdownhere.net, audio, keeping the ear out for all that stuff. And then that gets you ready for Monday, where we will be back at the Brew House. Might be a little soccer over there. She might be turning a title a little bit, but we'll be at the Brew House earlier, I think 7 to 8:30 on Monday night. And we'll be back at it there, getting you ready for everything involving the Portugal match. Once again, Jason has an AST, and that is going to go from noon till 2, I believe, on Saturday, and then an AST on Tuesday once again for Jason at the regular time, while Maddie, Sophia, and I are at the U.S. and Portugal. So that's your rundown to get you through into Monday. It's been a fun run for another week. Can't thank all of our guests enough today, specifically Kacey White and Jose Rodriguez, the head coach at Meadowcreek, along with our buddy Parkey, to find out what's going on with mentoring and how he and Greg talk through certain situations with their mentees. Nino and Nico back on Thursday, Dylan on Wednesday, Jamie Henderson at Sporting at Union Omaha back on Tuesday, along with Kevin Egan fighting traffic and dropped cells as he was getting ready to go do stuff on Good Day. And then, obviously, Bart and Abe on Monday to break it all through. Once again, thanks to all of you for hanging out with us as you always do. Night before party tonight at Fido Midtown, tailgating with the American Outlaws in Lot 17. So you start with us at Brew House, then go to the Eastern to go catch up with MIB. That might be part of your Friday as well. So once again, as we always do, it's another go-round, another week of SDH AM. That means that we wrap it in one way and one way only. And here's how we do wrap it once I find that particular piece of tape. And thanks to all of you folks for hanging out with us as you always do. See you at the Brew House tonight. See you at Mercedes-Benz tomorrow, because it's not quite Atlanta Stadium yet. We'll be back at it again on Monday for another week of SDH AM. Mucha Platiel, play it safe. Since it's the end of the week here on SDH AM, let's go out this way.
The war was on. The keys on the typewriter had sharp points that kept sticking into our fingers. The dictating equipment started asking us questions, and our beepers sent electric shocks just through our body like a cattle prod. Out in the warehouse, the trucks kept banging into the docks, not even thinking about stopping. Oh, our frail bodies were strapped to the chairs, and our chairs were chained to the desks. Our pleas for justice were ignored, and the end seemed near. But we busted our slave drivers' little bitty balls. We've charged out of their brick fortress, the streets